Season 2 is well underway, and we're already seeing some standout characters who are faring well in the meta and enjoying their new changes. Let's start off with Vanguards. Without a doubt, Magneto, Groot and Emma hold the top spots as strong and reliable tanks, but dive tanks are getting increasingly popular with the buffs given to Captain America and Hulk. We're seeing more and more team comps with no shield reliance, but instead just combinations of dive tanks like Venom and Captain America. There's also been an emergence of triple tank comps. They are very hard to play against in high elo or coordinated play. There's not much you can do if 3 dive tanks are on top of your healers and chasing them down. For DPS, Human Torch, Iron Fist and Mr. Fantastic are thriving with their new buffs, as well as Psylocke, who is loving the new Emma Frost team up, and Spider-Man, who is also seeing lots of playtime. Since there are lots of dive comps being played, any DPS who can match the mobility of Hulk, Venom, Captain America or the Thing are in a good spot. And of course, Namor is in a pretty good spot since Spider-Man is swinging around once again. And long-standing staple picks like Hela, Hawkeye and Punisher are always holding a good space in the meta. You can find my tier list in the description if you want to know where I place each character in the meta, but as a whole you can see that so far this meta is revolving around gap closing and getting on top of the healers as fast as you can. This is largely due to the balance patch favouring dive tanks and some anti-dive strategist tools being hit with nerfs like Soul Bond and Loki lamps. Now let's move on to what we're all here for, Strategists. Here is my strategist tier list for season 2. I'll go through the strengths and weaknesses of each strategist throughout this video, so for now I'll give a small explanation of each placement. S tier, we have Loki. Very fast ultimate charge, he can grab a Luna or Invisible Woman ult before they charge it themselves, and his immunity lamps are amazing for dive meta. Invisible Woman, most versatile healer, fast charging ultimate, lots of damage and great CC. Raccoon, great healing, fast ultimate, good survivability, his revive is handy and the bonus health on his ultimate feels very strong. Luna Snow, she has the best ultimate in the game and her snowflake is strong for dive teammates. A tier, Jeff, pesky harasser and he can pop off if he's left unchecked. B tier, Cloak and Dagger, she is mostly this low because their ultimate doesn't cover a huge area instantly like other healers. She has 250 health and a marginally lower healing output. She's not bad, she's just not as good. Adam Warlock, Soul Bond nerf, easy to pick off and rare to get good value from his ultimate. Mantis, she lost 25 HP into season 2 and she's easy to pick off once her sleep is down. Adam and Mantis are that low because they're both too situational. They reduce the amount of healing on your team and require very good aim to even begin to match the value of locking in a healer from the S tier. They have a high skill ceiling so very skillful players can get good value, but for the majority of players they're not worth locking in, as even the triple res team up ability with Star-Lord doesn't equal a win unless you're super experienced with these characters. Now I'll move on to talking about each character in depth, and you'll probably want to hear more about my B placements first, so we'll start from the bottom of my tier list and work upwards. Mantis. Mantis is our queen of single target damage and putting those pesky divers to sleep. She's a good choice in this meta as her backline is likely to get ripped apart quickly. She is also a great choice to lock in when you have to deal with Groot walls or to help burst shields, which is really handy as Groot is one of the top tanks right now. She works well with triple healer as Mantis lacks healing. The third healer can fill in the gaps, which also means Mantis can focus more on damage boosting allies to make up for the fact that you don't have as much damage on the team. With the strategist ultimate cost nerfs, Mantis has the lowest cost defensive ultimate, which makes her perfect for a triple healer comp as she can gain a lot of ultimate charge from hitting her primary fire. I find that Mantis usually can't be played if you have 2 tanks on the team as you don't have enough healing, and if you're running Mantis with only 2 healers, you have to make sure your team has at least 1 character that relies on health packs, otherwise you're going to struggle to heal incoming damage. Mantis was buffed for season 2, she can now stack her healing and damage boost for 16 seconds, but the actual healing and damage amplifier is still the same. This means you can slap some heals on a dive character and ignore them for a bit, which she wasn't able to do as well before. The damage boosts are especially good if you have a high damage DPS character. Mantis is more viable because dive is very prevalent in season 2, but her ultimate is also really good for pushing objectives and rushing down enemies with the movement speed. She has the only healer ultimate that provides this. Mantis also had her health reduced from 275 to 250 moving into season 2, which feels like it should be a pretty big nerf, but in practice I personally haven't been feeling this nerf too much, but I do think it wasn't deserved since she's not been in a strong spot for quite a while. In conclusion for Mantis, I think she is very situationally strong. She does great with triple healer comps and is now better at pocketing her DPS, but you have to be incredibly accurate with your shots and really make sure you're getting some good use out of her with damage and getting picks, otherwise she's not worth locking locking in. She deprives your team of a lot of heals, and if you're not performing almost as good as your DPS in the elimination department, you might want to swap. The best time you should pick her is to counter a pesky dive DPS that is causing your team trouble, such as Magic or Black Panther. Hitting one sleep on them is an easy pick for your team. Season 2 is a great time to get some aim training in with the amount of dive characters that are being played. Adam Warlock. His primary use is for Soul Bond to survive dive comps, but it received a 10-second extra cooldown nerf going into Season 2, making it not as effective to counter dive. But Adam is still the second best character to deal with dive, as his Soul Bond is very strong to push objectives and win fights. And don't forget the triple res comp with Star-Lord and Mantis. This team up can be incredibly strong if played correctly. My problem with Adam Warlock, and this also applies to Mantis, is that he has an extremely high skill ceiling. You have to be very accurate with your shots to get good value out of him, since he doesn't provide a lot of healing. This standard is pretty high. There's not really a lot of room for mistakes, which means Adam and triple res comp is only worth locking in if you have a skillful Star-Lord, an experienced Mantis, and an Adam who is super accurate with his shots. Running this team composition means that your team has significantly less healing, so I'd recommend only running one tank, as you don't have enough healing to keep up two, but you could add a third healer to rectify this. One advantage for locking in Adam in Season 2 is that he's strong at taking out flying characters, which is super useful as Human Torch is incredibly strong, and Iron Man also received a buff for Season 2. His ultimate isn't the strongest in practice. It's very hard to get a successful res off without the enemy team finding your res location and wiping your team before you get a chance to fully replenish their health bars. As I mentioned before, he doesn't provide a lot of healing and he isn't a main healer, so you really need to consider if your team has enough healing before you lock him in. Don't go leaving your poor old Groot with no healing. My overview for Adam Warlock is that he's not as strong and was never actually as strong as what people think. It's really only his Soul Bond ability that holds any actual power, which was slapped with an additional 10-second cooldown going into Season 2. His ultimate is very weak in practice, as it's very easy to wipe a team upon rezzing. His heals are low and you have to be very accurate with his shots to get good value. He is also incredibly easy to pick off and his heals have quite a high cooldown. I wouldn't recommend locking him in unless you're being ripped apart by a dive comp or you have a lot of experience on him. Cloak and Dagger. They are probably the weakest main healer of Season 2 out of Luna Snow, Loki and Invisible Woman, but this isn't because she's bad per se, the other healers are just better than her. However, she does have a lot of good uses. She provides good survivability for herself with a lot of self-healing and with Cloak's immune ability. She can use this to dodge a lot of dangerous enemy ultimates for both herself and her allies. She can heal herself with her primary fire and can also heal herself with her bubble. Dagger usually survives longer than Luna, so it can be good to swap to her if there are a lot of threats on the enemy team and you don't have the Iron Fist Luna team up. Cloak's blind can be thrown out on cooldown, which also makes enemies take more damage. You can deal damage whenever needed, and she's great for solo queues since you can pick up kills pretty easily on her. Her ultimate also charges pretty quickly. Each dash now lasts for a little bit longer going into Season 2 also. Her ultimate doesn't have a wide space upon activation, so you have to dash a few times to cover the same space as an Invisible Woman or a Luna ultimate will do on cast. And lastly, Dagger is really useful with healing flyers or dive characters. Some examples are Human Torch, Spider-Man and Venom, characters that are prominent in Season 2 and are a lot easier to hit with Dagger's auto-aim effect. Let's sum up Cloak and Dagger. They are very strong regardless of a lot of high elo players and content creators classing them as bad and you're throwing the game if you pick them. They have pretty strong healing potential, Cloak's blind can be a great tool for getting picks if used properly, and they have decent survivability against dive comps with their self-healing. The one thing you have to be super aware of is getting one shot by Magneto ultimate when you cast your ultimate. This is by far the biggest mistake you can make on Cloak, so make sure to track his ultimate or ask your own Magneto for a bubble. You can use your Cloak immune to fly high into the air before you cast it, or start your ultimate in Cloak form so you can use your immune quicker after your ultimate ends. And lastly, Cloak's ultimate doesn't cover a huge area as soon as you cast, so be mindful to start your ultimate on top of an ally and make sure you try to cover as many allies as possible as you aren't throwing out your healing daggers at this time. Jeff. Our little land shark has been sneaking into more and more games and he's kinda sleeper OP. For quite a while, the only response to Jeff terrorizing your backline was ignore him, or how you getting killed by a healer? But the reality is, Jeff is a force to be reckoned with as an annoying and very effective DPS if left unchecked. He creates such a huge distraction at the back of your team, forcing your healers to heal each other if they want to survive, which takes healing away from everyone else on your team. And before you know it, your whole team is wiped. And that's without talking about his ultimate. Even in high elo lobbies, you'll see Jeff ultimate gaining so much value. All he needs to do is trade himself with a healer or a tank and he's getting value. Just make sure you have 2 other healers on your team if you're going to lock in DPS Jeff. A lot of low elo players won't realize this is your plan, so make sure you tell your teammates at the start of your game. I ranked Jeff as A tier on my tier list and he is a very solid pick if you get experienced on him. He has great survivability with his ability to dive underground and reduce his hitbox, paired with his bubbles that allow him to heal himself. All you have to do is get experience at managing these abilities and you're set. Luna Snow. She will always be strong just because of her ultimate. The 12 seconds of 250 healing per second is very strong, but it doesn't make your whole team immune. Focus damage on a singular target will kill them. Luna has the most expensive ultimate cost, meaning she takes longer to charge it, which makes sense as it's the best healer ultimate. Iron Fist is in an amazing spot for season 2. He's pick or ban so far, which is great news for Luna. This means she gets her team up ability more often. Her team up ability gives an AoE heal, slows enemies around her, and knocks them back. This is great to help her survive against dive characters who are more prominent this season. However, Luna is notorious for struggling to survive against dives since her freeze isn't the easiest to hit and she doesn't have as much survivability when compared to Mantis, Loki, or Invisible Woman. But it's incredibly important now to get confident at hitting her freeze with the prominence of dive characters in season 2. One huge tip I would give is to hold on to it and take it slow. Wait for the diver to use their immune frames or their dash before you throw it out. Usually the diver will be looking out for your freeze before they use abilities, so let them start the combo first. Play mind games with them. She also has her passive healing when she activates her freeze and her ice arts. Don't be afraid to throw out a random freeze or activate your empowered shots early if your health is getting low. I will usually swap off of Luna if the enemy team is running a full dive comp, as other strategists counter dive better. The Luna Namor team up was removed, so no more needing to lock her in for the icy squid. However, Jeff is becoming very popular at all elos to terrorize backlines, and Luna gives him icy shots, which makes his job a bit easier, so you might be needing to lock in Luna a little bit more often for our favourite shark. Moving on to Luna Snowflake, it's more important in season 2 with the increase of dive characters. Some examples are Captain America, Spider-Man, and Venom. A lot of these dive characters leave their strategist line of sight quite often, meaning they can't be healed, but Luna Snowflake stays attached regardless of line of sight. In addition, a lot of these dive characters like Venom and Captain have pretty huge health pools, meaning Luna can charge her ultimate very fast. And let's not forget big old Groot. He's an amazing tank right now and provides lots of juicy ultimate charge, which is great for Luna and her ultimate inherently taking longer to charge. And one final point for Luna, if your team is only running one tank and you already have a main healer, my preference is to swap off of Luna as there usually isn't enough healing to charge her ultimate fast enough. In summary, Luna will always be strong. She has a high healing output and an amazing ultimate. She won't fare as well this season since she's relatively easy to pick off when compared to other strategists. However, with how strong Iron Fist is, she'll be getting her team up ability quite often, which definitely helps her out. Her Snowflake is also more important this season, but nevertheless, Luna's effectiveness is always tied to how good you are with her aim and how accurate you are with her freeze, so I wouldn't be scared of locking her in this season. She's still very strong. Just be mindful you might have to swap if you're looking to survive more often against all these dive picks. Rocket Raccoon. Rocket was mega buffed for season 2. If you're not sure what the changes were, then check out my Rocket video in the description. Rocket's direct hit bonus gives him a lot of healing if you're able to consistently hit directly and be accurate with your shots. However, he will now heal for less if you're not getting those direct bonus hits in. His ultimate charge is very fast and the bonus health is very nice. It gives your teammates more confidence to utilize the damage boost and look for picks on enemies. You'll usually charge his ultimate before every other healer in the game, and throwing it out fast will usually lead to a victorious team fight unless the enemy team has a very early healer ultimate. Moving on to Rocket's mobility, it was reduced with the nerfs to his dash. It has a higher cooldown and a reduced distance, so his survivability has reduced from last season, but it's still pretty strong. I would argue he has the most survivability out of all the strategists. Only a few characters can keep up with his wall climbing and self-healing. Two examples are Spider-Man and Iron Fist. Rocket's revive is also an extremely good asset for the team, especially when you're defending a capture point, as one pick can lead to losing the objective. Regarding Rocket's team up, Punisher is always a strong DPS pick, and this is also a really good counter to the triple tank compositions that are popular right now. Punisher can destroy health bars very quickly. Winter Soldier isn't a part of the infinite ammo team up anymore, but he's also not as strong anymore after his nerfs. In summary, the team up is still very strong and very worth picking. If I had to choose 2 words to sum up Rocket in Season 2, I would say Sleeper OP. Some of the only drawbacks of Rocket in previous seasons was the lack of a defensive ultimate and no burst healing. Now he has both of these. You're able to get a lot more value out of his ultimate now, and he charges it incredibly fast. Even though his mobility was nerfed, he still holds the title as a strategist with the most survivability, as you can't catch him when he's running up walls and the ceiling. You can lock him in as a main healer in pretty much every game. He's a great pick this season. Invisible Woman. In my opinion, she is one of the strongest strategists this season. Her team up with The Thing, Human Torch and Mr. Fantastic, who are all really strong this season, and especially with Torch being pick or ban so far, is amazing. It gives all these characters extra survivability. She builds her ultimate incredibly fast if you line up multiple allies with your heals and throw out your damaging abilities on cooldown. She can be the first ultimate in a fight, and I often throw it out the second I get it to encourage my teammates to take space and look for a pick. I'll often pull an enemy into the ultimate so their healers have trouble healing them. One negative point that a lot of strategists often forget about her ultimate is that it has a significantly lower healing factor than Luna or Cloak ultimate, meaning your allies can get killed through it easier, so it can't survive combos such as Groot and Moon Knight ultimate, which Luna and Cloak ultimate can sometimes protect through. Psionic Burst is a crazy utility ability. You can use it to push enemies off the map or push away enemy ultimates before they hit you, such as Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. Pulling enemies out of position towards your team is also an easy way to get a pick at the start of a fight, and also deals a decent amount of damage. Her shield can be used as a great tool against Emma Frost, who is very strong in Season 2. She can place it in front of an ally and then walk behind it herself to block the mind control effect of yourself and the ally. Her shield also has a potent heal and can be a great way to counter dive if she plays on top of it. However, she's not amazing at healing dive tanks or dive DPS, as her heals don't have the longest range. In conclusion, Invisible Woman is just amazing. I don't have a whole lot to say about her, she's just great. She's an incredibly proactive support with scope to make game-winning plays with her psionic burst, high survivability against dive, an insanely fast charging ultimate, and a decent damage output. She is insanely well-rounded, you have a lot of agency on her, and she provides a great team up that gives extra health to 3 really strong characters right now in the meta. Lock her in right now for some free SR. Loki. I ranked Loki as the best strategist on my tier list for this season, on the sole basis that he charges his ultimate very fast, so you can grab a more expensive healer ultimate like Lunar Snow or Invisible Woman quicker than they could get it. Going into Season 2, Loki got a 5-second nerf to his immunity lamps, which does slightly lower his effectiveness against dive comps, but he's still really strong and is still the best strategist choice to counter dive comps. Divers will have to destroy his lamps before they can damage Loki, and if you're smart with your clone placements, you can give yourself 2 or 3 immunity fields to work with. In this time, you can DPS the divers with your clones. Loki deals a huge amount of damage if you have your clones up, which enemies usually don't expect. If the enemy is melee, they'll have to get really close to you to destroy the immunity lamps, which gives you more time to DPS. This is great to deal with popular characters in the meta right now like Spider-Man, Captain America and Black Panther. He can teleport away and use his invisibility to further evade divers. Thor also got buffs moving into Season 2, which is great for Loki's team up with Hela and Thor. Hela is always a strong DPS, so there is now a huge incentive to run this Asgardian Res team comp. To sum up Loki this season, he's more important than ever with so many dive characters and burst damage being played. His immunity lamps can be crucial to turning a fight. He charges his ultimate incredibly fast and can pump out high DPS. One area he falls down on is healing dive tanks, dive characters and flying characters that are on your team, since he doesn't have Lunar Snowflake or Cloak's auto aim, but as long as your allies are aware that they have to come back for heals, Loki works amazingly well. Loki and Invisible Woman are my top 2 strategist picks for this patch. Just before we end the video, there has been a small balance patch on April 30th. For our Strategist, Mantis is receiving an extra 5 damage on her primary fire, and Cloak is receiving an extra 5 damage on his primary fire, and Dagger's primary fire will deal an extra 3 damage on hit. I don't think any of these damage buffs will change the meta or have a major impact, except for maybe Mantis, who will be a better tank killer now. Lunar Snow's primary fire damage fall-off rate is reducing from 60% at 40 meters to 75%, meaning she will do more damage to enemies further away, which is kind of confusing in this meta, but we'll take the buff. And lastly, Adam Warlock received a pretty big buff. He now has a Mantis-like passive that revolves around headshots. Every headshot will reduce the cooldown of his heal by 1 second. This change is pretty crazy. It creates an even higher skill ceiling to Adam, and this will definitely make him a better character if you're accurate with his shots. It'll be interesting to see how this buff turns out. Thank you so much for watching my support tier list and meta analysis video. Let me know if you found this information helpful, and be sure to check out the rest of my channel for more strategist tips. Let me know in the comments what you would like to see next. I do stream on Twitch regularly. If you want to come check out my stream, you can ask me any questions and I'll be happy to answer. I'll see you guys next time.